Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about some negative feedback that we recently received on our account. And I'm not just talking about one, I'm actually going to go over several that we've received over the last few months. We're going to discuss if the feedback was justified or not. We'll give you a spoiler alert right now. Yes, a lot of the feedback was justified. Definitely room to grow. We're just going to go ahead and read some of the feedback, and I'll tell you where we're at with this particular case. One, it says, I should have known better, I guess, but they listed it as a snare drum, so I thought it was a snare drum. Turns out one of the lugs is completely broken. It's missing the plate and the snare strap to hold it in place. It's a project, not a snare drum. What makes it worse is the fact that they are a music store. Why didn't they fix it and sell it? Confused, ticked off, and may return it if they pay the shipping. Well, first off, I'm going to say this customer was 100% justified in their sentiment. Now, in my defense, I bought a drum at the Goodwill bins. I wasn't sure what kind of drum it was. I looked around. It didn't have very many markings, so I measured it. That was pretty much all I could do. And I photographed it unassembled. Now, mind you, the guy only paid $20 for this. The brand was by Remo. You know, if it was in full, if it was completely built, even with it not being a snare drum, not quite sure what kind of drum it is, if it's not a snare drum, but any one of their drums, if it was in perfect condition, probably should have gotten we should have gotten like $60, $70 for. But the problem I made with this one, and why I'm going to take full accountability, is even though I took a picture of everything laid out and it was clearly unassembled, I did not write that inside the title. I also should have wrote a brief description saying, I am assuming this is a snare drum, although I'm not 100% sure. Please ask if you have any questions. Really, I should have never bought this item because it was a project and I did not thoroughly look through the box. When I picked it up, it looked like kind of like a brand new drum. Brought it home, realized it was a used one. Maybe someone bought a drum and they put their old drum inside the box. So I made the mistake. I probably should have never kept the item. But the what to do about it? Well, in this particular case, I am going to reach out to the customer and offer them a full refund in exchange for feedback, for them to revise the feedback. And when I ask someone to revise the feedback, I really don't care if they leave me a positive review. Even if it's a neutral review, I'm okay with that. I just don't want a negative review because I feel like most people pay attention to your positive and your negative reviews. They're much more concerned with those than they are the neutral ones. All right, moving on to the next item. This was AC Delco original fuel injector O-ring kit, missing pieces. Now, I'll go right off the back and say I would never sell this item currently. It was a very old item. I only got $7.60 for it and it was free shipping. And unfortunately, I actually lost this item. I couldn't find the item. I was in a situation with our account that if I claimed I had lost the item, then it was going to put us in eBay jail. So I was kind of in a rock and a hard place. If I just reached out and said, I'm sorry, I lost this item, I canceled the purchase based on the fact that we're out of stock, or lost item, that would have put a ding on our account, a ding we couldn't afford, and would have sent our eBay into eBay jail, meaning I wouldn't be top rated. I would no longer be able to run sales on my account, and for a whole month, I would lose 50% of my income from this account. So what I did instead is I printed the label and I waited for the customer to realize he did not receive the item. And then therefore I refunded his purchase. His only comment here is, you did not receive my item, but received a refund after making a claim. I think that's fair for a negative feedback. I rather receive the negative feedback on this one than the eBay ding, but I do think it's fair. And the lesson there is I need to go through some of my older inventory And once again, because I've done this prior, but I need to do it one more time. I need to purge old items that I'm not sure where they are. I now have a SKU system, so every single item should be associated with a SKU, and that SKU represents a box, and I could go right into that box and I can pull the items and ship them out. I don't have these issues anymore, but this was within the first 3-4 months of my reselling career. It's literally a 4-year-old item that I should have deleted long ago. So that was a mistake on my end, and there's no way I can ask him to revise that feedback because there's nothing that he can get in his benefit. He already got a full refund. So that one's just going to have to stay there. Now this next one is a cinch long sleeve button up white men's L cuff Western cowboy rodeo shirt, just a cinch shirt, and it just says do not buy from this seller. I didn't really receive any feedback from the customer in terms of why they were unhappy. When I noticed this was in the past 6 months, I think it was 3 or 4 months ago, when I noticed I received the bad feedback, the negative feedback, I did reach out to see if there was anything I could do to make it right, but unfortunately I wasn't able to get a hold of the buyer. So I really don't know why he was unhappy with this item. And the biggest lesson I could say on this one is, again, this is a $7 item. You know, with these $7 items, I don't know if they're worth it inside my store to even sell the $7 items, if it could potentially give me a ding. Because I pay a lister sometimes $1 to $1.50, depending on who I'm using at the time, to actually create the listing for me. And after eBay fees, and the price I got into that shirt, I don't know if I made, more than $1 on it. And I got negative feedback. So some of these lower value items, I'm really trying to not sell these items anymore. I used to be much more of a volume seller, but I'm trying to, do the $20 and up items now, just because of issues like this. When it's all said and done, I make very little money. And now I got negative feedback that won't go away, probably for another 9 months. It will be affecting my account. The next one we got here is for some Steve Madden rhinestone sneakers. I do remember this one. The shoes need to be put in the trash. It was worn out. People should have pride in what they sell. Again, this is a case of maybe I shouldn't have listed this item. They were very cool shoes. They had rhinestones all over them. I still thought there was some decent wear on these shoes, and I sold them for $10.49 plus ship. I thought it was a fair price for what the person was getting. They definitely were not, close to new condition or very good condition. They were good condition, but because they were so unique, I thought someone might still want them, and I thought someone did for $10.49. Now on this one, again, I reached out to the customer and I asked them, hey, would you be willing to revise the feedback if I gave you a full refund? And unfortunately, he was not okay with that. He said he'll just throw the shoes inside the trash. So that was when I started to think really about having higher quality items that I was selling, moving away from being a volume seller, because those sneakers I thought were kind of cool, but is it really worth it to get negative feedback for, a $10.49 purchase? I don't think so.
It's more trouble than it's worth, isn't it?
Now, this is another one that happened around the same time. It's Mary Kay Time-Wise travel-sized 3-in-1 cleanser. And we actually did receive a bunch of Mary Kay. I think we even did a video on the channel about it. And a lot of it we ended up throwing away because it was expired. But we did sell some of it. And this was the only negative feedback that we got from the lot. See, this was a 3-in-1 cleanser. And based on our research, there was really no expiration date for the cleanser. And we sold quite a few lots of these. This particular customer wasn't happy. We did reach out, try to give a refund. Again, this is right around that $7 mark, $7.49. But we never heard back from the customer, so we had to eat that negative feedback as well. For $7.49, that was totally not worth it. If you like this kind of, you like reselling content, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Also, I should let you know, this is the first time I've ever gone under 99% feedback, positive feedback. And we're at now 98.9%. First time we've ever gone under 99% on one of our stores. The other store is still above 99. And I haven't really felt the impact of lost inside sales. So thankfully, 98 is still strong enough for people not to get too worried about buying from us. But yeah, when you look at a lot of the feedback here, for very small petty items, and it's my fault for buying these kind of items, but the amount of profit that we received on these items was just really not worth giving our store a bad reputation. And that's something moving into the end of this year and into next year, we're going to be paying a lot more attention to. I value our customers' feedback, and I also want to have a store with a high integrity. Really don't want to sell crap to people, but getting into the storage business and buying in bulk from storage units has actually caused me to put a lot of items up on eBay that I wouldn't actually go buy from a Goodwill bins or a garage sale like we used to source. I wouldn't touch these items. But since they were essentially free and I found them inside a storage unit, I decided to throw them up anyway. And that was a mistake. And that's a mistake we can't afford to make anymore. But I thought I'd share that with you. If you're on your own reselling journey, maybe you should think about quality of items you decide to list. And if it is an item that doesn't add a lot of value to your store, do you even want to risk listing it if you could potentially get a negative feedback and the customer never responds back to you, never even gives you the chance to make it right? Because that's happened quite a few times. And it never really happened before. But inside the last year, there's a few of these ones where the customer didn't even give us a chance to make it right. And that's to no fault of theirs. That's just, they're not the kind of people that read every message that's sent on eBay, which is fine. But it's something to consider as a seller. Do you want to put yourself inside that position? So we'll read another two, and then we'll wrap up the video. This next one said, I'm pretty sure the sweater had cat hairs. Seller never responded. Chico's, okay, so this was a New Attacks cardigan sweater. And I did respond back to the buyer, but not necessarily as quick as they wanted me to respond back. It took me a couple of days, which is a day too long in my opinion, but I eventually did respond back. We don't have any cats in our house. If you are familiar with the channel, we do have a couple of Yorkies, and the Yorkies, they don't really shed hair, so it didn't come from our house. But I did find this item probably inside a storage unit, and it's a possibility. Since it was new, we didn't wash it. I didn't get every hair that was on the product. But again, this sold for $5. And the big, kind of takeaway in that is these items that aren't even worth $10 to the customer, I don't think I'll be selling them again, because I think these smaller items actually will give you customers that a little bit more concern about how far their dollar stretches. They're really looking for values inside this rough economy. And if they feel like they're being swindled in any kind of way, who knows how long this customer took to try to find a sweater that they could get for the $5 that I accepted their offer on. They could have put a lot of time in looking into it. So I do got empathy in that regards. And I probably rushed through the listing of this item because I knew I wasn't going to get much for it anyway. And that's the thing. You're going to take your time on an item that you're going to get a good 30, 40 bucks for. But when you're like, Chico's, let me, do my basic photos, let me run through it real quick and move on to the next. Yeah, I'm not putting the same kind of quality control inside that. The next item here was a miniature gold-plated Prince King crown bejeweled. Okay, so it was this little crown. And it said, item arrived in a box with no packing to hold it in place. The item was snapped and bent. No response from the seller. Buyer be aware. Yeah, again, this is a case of me not getting back to the customer quick enough, so they already left the feedback before I had a chance to make it right. I did offer this person, and after I found out that they left negative feedback, after I realized that they sent me a message, I did offer them a full refund in exchange for negative feedback, but there was no response after that. And this is a case of being in a hurry. Had this little item, and I think I stuck it inside a Rollo printer where you get all your paper from a Rollo printer. And I thought it was pretty much the right size there. I guess I do remember I put it inside some bubble wrap, but I didn't add a little bit more paper. And I was just in a rush, doing too much. And I did not take the time to properly pack that package, although I thought it'd be fine. I seemed relatively sturdy, but I guess it went through the ringer when it hit the post office, and it arrived bent and out of shape. So the two takeaways I got from here is, well, three lessons, I'd say. One, get back to your customers. If you see a message, even if you're in the middle of something, at least touch base with them right away. Even if you can't really dig into it quite yet, at least let them know you received the message. This will prevent them from leaving the feedback right away, and will give you a chance to work things out between you and the customer, instead of dealing with it in retrospect after they leave negative feedback. That's the first lesson I'm taking away from going over these negative reviews with you. The second one is, if the item isn't really adding enough value to your store, now that's a decision you need to make. For me, I'm looking at $20 and up. Is it even worth listing? Because what I find, we sell a lot of high dollar items, and I'll tell you, every single item that we sold here was under $20. All my negative feedback has come under the $20 mark. Maybe that drum was right on 20 bucks plus shipping. So he had a little bit more money into his transaction, but the vast majority of these were very low dollar items. So do you even want to list the items if you could potentially get some negative feedback? Is it worth the $4 or $5 you're going to make? That's a question you got to ask yourself. And third, just slow down. If you're a reseller, you're probably working just about every day of the week a little bit, and we often are in a rush to get to the post office. Maybe we spend too much time sourcing. We're in a rush to get our photos done because we're hungry, we want to eat dinner, but we got to get our daily photos up. It's probably better if you do just a little bit less and you don't quite hit your goals that day, but you do it right. And that's all I got for y'all. I will see you next time. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you.